Hello and welcome to a video that I think quite a few of you have been waiting for. It's the tutorial of my cover of Castle on the Hill by Ed Sheeran. For any of you who have not seen my channel before or seen any of my videos before, the loop station that I'm using in this video is a Boss RC30. If you want to know what I think about the pedal or anything like that, there's another video that I posted a few days ago of my review of the pedal. Go and have a look at that if you want. Also, if you haven't seen my cover of Castle on the Hill already, I'll leave a link in the description of this video so that you can go over to that so you know which loops and which parts of the song that I'm referring to as I go over this tutorial. So yeah, I've had lots and lots of requests for this video, so let's get straight in. I'm going to start by teaching you the guitar work rather than the loop work first. Obviously, you need to know how to play it before you start to loop it. So we're going to leave the loop station alone for a little bit and just go over the actual guitar work itself. So where better to start than at the beginning? The first chord that we play is that kind of octave chord that's in the first loop, which sounds like when played. It's got quite a fast strumming pattern to it, but the fretting of the chord is first finger on the 5th fret on the A string, the second finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and the third finger on the 5th fret of the top E string down here. So you've got 3 notes there that are fretted. There's a D, there's another D which is an octave up, and there's a note of A, I believe that is. Yeah, I think so. And that's just on a fast strumming pattern. And I think the trick to that, really, repetition is always the trick to learning anything, but I think the trick to that is not to go over the top with movement. Try and keep movement to a minimum so that you can keep the speed up, and then obviously getting the loop on time is essential, really, because it's the first loop. The other loops will always follow the tempo of the first loop, so you should always concentrate really hard on the first loop, and the rest will be bang on. They should be anyway. So yeah, the notes in between the fretted notes here, I tend to mute. So for example, the D string there is muted by my first finger being slightly offset here. So that's muted there. The B string, the same thing with my second finger, is muting the B string. And that's what I tend to do with all chords, really. If I play a chord of D, for example, my thumb mutes the E and the A strings so that I can just and play everything. All the chords that I play, if there's any unwanted strings, I tend to mute them with my left hand rather than trying to do it with my palm of my right hand. I don't know, I just find it easier. I think most rhythm guitarists in particular, tend to mute with the fretting hand rather than the strumming hand. But anyway, that first chord, as I said, it's quite hard to fret actually, but you only have to do it once for that first loop, so I don't think you need to concentrate too much on being able to change to that chord quickly, because you can take your time fretting it and then you never need it again for the rest of the song. So yeah, that's the first loop, just that. For double that length, because you need to fit the next riff in with the loops, which brings me on to the next section. For the second loop, I'm using my Super Octave OC3 pedal by Boss to give it that low-end bass effect. So when I play that, it sounds like this. And yeah, we'll just go over how to play that before I explain anything else that you can do. I'll click the pedal off for this so you can hear the guitar in its raw state. We're starting on the 5th fret of the A string, which is the note of D, as you probably know. Starting there, and then to the F sharp to the G, which is the 2nd and 3rd frets of the bottom E string, and then you're bouncing over to the B note, so that's the A string 2nd fret, and then A string open, which obviously is A, and then just before you go back to the D, the 4th fret on the A string, the note of D flat there, just to take you back to that D note. So altogether it should sound. So that's the only other riff really. And then on my version, I switch over to channel B on my loop station. If you're using a different loop station, by the way, you will need 2 channels to be able to drop the riff out and leave that bass drum thing going, which that is literally all the third loop is. It's just me hitting the bridge of the guitar like that. You might have seen from other videos that I've done, I've actually got 2 pickups in this guitar. So the reason I make that sound so good down there is because I've got a piezo pickup in the bridge as well as the magnetic. If you're only using a magnetic, that might sound a little bit feeble hitting down there, but usually you can find some part of your guitar that sounds best through a PA or through your headphones or whatever. But yeah, it does depend on the guitar. My Hohner that I used to play, that would have sounded terrible. I had to hit sort of over the pickup more to get it to sound good on that guitar. So yeah, it is. All guitars are different. So, and that's all the looping stuff. So the actual chords to the song, we'll go over them now. That bass line that we just did is just the root notes of all of these chords. So it's quite straightforward. Just chord of D, and then we've got a D with a F sharp bass, which is played with your first finger on the 2nd fret of the bottom E string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and 3rd and 4th fingers are on the 3rd fret of the B and top E strings respectively. So I tend to sort of bounce, I leave this finger fretted, my 3rd finger, and just bounce up there like that. So from the D over to the G, obviously, so that's literally, you only play that one with the F sharp bass once. It's literally just a transition chord. And then over to the B minor chord, sorry. And then over to the A chord. I cheat with the A chord, and you just use one finger barred over the fretted notes of the chord of A. So I just use one finger barred over them, which allows me to play that last note, which was the D flat note, which is the A string on the 4th fret. So I get that, just that little bit that's added in from the bass line. You don't actually have to do that because it's on the loop anyway. So, but in the verses, when you drop the loop out, I like to add that in so you get the. I just think it adds that nice sort of bass liney bit to the song when the loop's not going. So I think that's all of the bits. No, it isn't. There's chords in the bridge that goes to a G, to A, to D, to B minor, then to G, and then to A, and then it's back in with the main sort of riff. And I think that's all the chords. The chord wise, it's really, really straightforward, this song. The difficult bit really is just the strumming at the beginning with that first loop, getting that in time, and then some sort of tricky footwork as the chorus comes in, which I'll go over in a second. You may have noticed that I'm using a Boss FS6 as well as my loop station here. And I did sort of touch on this in my review for the Boss RC30. And what this pedal allows me to do is, whereas usually to change over to the second track, these things here are tracks for anybody that's not seen my review on this pedal, but to change tracks usually you have to press and hold the stop button for 2 seconds, and see how that light flicked over. I'll do it again to flick back. But in the section that goes, I can't wait to go home, and then into the chorus, that little bit that I just did is literally how long you've got to stop track 2 and then change the track back so that both tracks are armed, ready to press play as the chorus comes in. So pressing and holding for 2 seconds, there just isn't 2 seconds there to sort of allow you to arm both the tracks ready to come back in. I actually managed to screw that up at a gig once. I didn't think about that. I didn't rehearse the song before I turned up, and it was a disaster. I ended up having to just stop all the loops and play the song acoustically because I couldn't figure it out as I was playing it. But this Boss FS6 has allowed me to do that. I do plan to get the FS5U, which is the single version of this pedal. This pedal, that is. Because I don't need two pedals, and I bought this FS6 actually as a channel switch for a guitar amp that I had years ago. It didn't come with a channel switch, but I was quite heavy-footed with it, so I ended up breaking this button, the A button there. So that actually doesn't work anymore, so essentially this is just a single button. But yeah, what it allows me to do is when I press B there, you see that these tracks change over with just the click of this button. So in the verses and the bridge of the song where we've just got the bass drum beat, I have to stop that bass drum beat, hit this B and start again, all in the space of I can't wait to go home. So the footwork goes I can't wait to go home and back in. So it's really quite quick. For obvious reasons, you can see why pressing and holding for 2 seconds just isn't going to work. So I'm going to go over those loops and play it over for you. I'm going to do it slowly. If you want to see my full speed version, then obviously, as I said before, there's a link below in the description below this video to my cover of this song. So to hear it full speed, just go there. I'm not going to do that here. This is obviously just a tutorial. So I'm going to play the loop but slower than the actual version so that you can follow it a bit easier. I need my headphones, obviously I've got no monitors going on here, so I can't hear what the loop station is doing once I click it. So I'm going to stick my headphones on and we'll start with the first loop, which as I said before is that chord that I taught you earlier. So channel A, just straight in with as I said, getting the timing on that is absolutely essential. So you want it to be straight in on time. I'm not sure if that is, I think it's more or less there. And then the second loop is just with, obviously I play it with the octave pedal. You don't have to use the octave pedal if you haven't got one, but I just quite like the way it sounds. Loop going now, and then I need to switch the channels over, so I can press and hold that for 2 seconds. I could use the FS6, but it's a bit awkward to get to while I'm sat down, so I could do either or. And then the third loop is just that bass drum sound as I said before, so we'll add that in now. Over to channel A because that's the channel that I stop when I come in with the vocals. So when I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. I was running from my brother and his friends. Tasted the sweet perfume on the mountain grass I rolled down. I was younger then. Take me back to when and in the meantime, while I'm doing this, I need to be changing over to channel 2 because that's the one that I have to stop just because that's the one that's going. So as I suggested before, so you've got a stop, change. So that's that sort of fast footwork there. I've just realised as well, before I carry on, take these off a second because they're annoying, I can hear myself. The bridge chords, I taught you wrong I think. They just go to G, to A, to D, and then back to the G. I think I said B minor before, but it isn't B minor at all. It's back to the G. So found my heart and broke it here, made friends and lost them through the years. I've not seen the roaring fields in so long. I know I've grown. I can't wait to go home. So if I taught you that wrong before, sorry about that. I can't remember if I did or not. But so yeah, I'll go over that footwork again for you. If you don't have an FS6 or an FS5U, for this song with an RC30, you're going to have to get something that can handle that, because it's just not possible by pressing and holding the stop button, unfortunately. I think the RC300 you can do it because it's got start, stop, all button. You can just stop everything and start everything and it'll go straight in. Obviously you only need 2 of the channels. But yeah, so that footwork, going back to that, I'll just play both of these again. So obviously that's stopped. So we'd be at this point now. Found my heart and broke it, made friends and lost them through the years. I've not seen the roaring fields in so long. I know I've grown. I can't stop, change in. So hopefully that made some sense to you, and that's pretty much all of it. The only other bit is the bit where the middle 8 section is, and but it's essentially the same thing, but when you change over to stop the bass drum sound, it stops for a lot longer, so you've got plenty of time to get both those tracks armed again to come back in. And then when I ended the song, I turned channel 2 off first before channel A, so I turned the bass drum section off at the end and then flick over, and that's the end of the song. So that's pretty much all for this video. Sorry if it feels like I've rushed through it. I'm not sure if I've missed anything out or anything, but if you've got any questions, please get in touch with me using the comment section below this video. You can get me on Twitter as well, @TweedNelson. If you're on Twitter, get over there, follow me, ask me anything you want to know. Other than that, share away if you think anybody would benefit from this video. Please feel free to share. Every view and every subscriber helps. And that's all. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.